glass ball is Venus. And the surface, like this is actually the surface and the ball of it. So the clouds would be like, well, they're not that thick, but let's say for pretend's sake, the clouds are like floating up here. So all these clouds are just trapping all of the sea. It's like a blanket. It's like the goddess is coated with heavy blankets, and she's like, oh girl, it's 1,000 billion degrees in here. Like, take these blankets off, but she can't. And the sun on top of that is heating and beaming down on her. So, yeah. I wouldn't be the goddess of love and beauty if I was being blistered and scorched that much, but, yeah, anyway. So, traps heat, creating a greenhouse effect, making it the hottest planet to the point of it melting lead. It doesn't melt the lead, okay? You put metal on it, like it will. Oh my god, I think aluminum melts at like double that temperature, probably. So I think aluminum would be like the only thing that survives. I'm not sure though. I could be mistaken about lead. Oh my god. Oh Jesus. Like, to get the ideal tan that you desire, you just need to spend like half a second there and you'll be good. If you don't get crushed first and suffocate. So that's why it gets hot, even though it's the second planet from the sun. Mercury's the closest. It's not hotter than Venus because Venus has an atmosphere that's very thick. Mercury doesn't. It just sits there and bakes in the sun, but space is so cold that it kind of like contradicts the effects of the sun. So it's actually much colder than Venus. Not by that much though, but it's definitely hotter than Earth. Number 4, it contains volcanoes and mountains. They're not really sure if a lot of the volcanoes are active. I think there's over like 1,600 volcanoes, if I'm not mistaken. Hundreds of them for sure, if not thousands. And there are many different mountain ranges and heights, and just like on Earth and Mars. And some of them they believe are active still to this day, which causes the constant cycle of the greenhouse effect. And constant, like, imagine volcanoes erupting, and all of that is like being pushed down also from the thick clouds and the thick pressure of the atmosphere, the density of it all, and it's always packed and being heated on top of that. It's always stuck there, so they do believe like the reason it's continuing to be hot for millions of years is because the volcanoes are probably still erupting to this day, which is phenomenal because most of these planets are pretty desolate and dead. And so when you come to think in terms of Venus being active, it kind of makes you feel good because it's like, okay, wow, we actually have some life, not that there could be any life there, but there are allegedly, and we can entertain the idea, of course, of some bacteria and viruses surviving on Venus. It is believed that there actually could potentially harbor life there, especially in the clouds. I would imagine my theory would be if the planet was still erupting to this day, there would be some micro biomes or sorts of minuscule life forms that have survived and developed, like a pterograde, for example, that could sustain itself in the plumes, or perhaps the lava after it comes out and cools. That could be a potential for, because I know Earth was formed through volcanic activity, so that's how life was harbored. But nonetheless, all theories in the Darwinism effect could lead to multiple different conclusions from different walks of life, and of course there's the argument of a higher source being the numerical cause. Earth's rotation, and scientists are stumped as to why this is. And the main cause is because they do believe that from a collision, the planet must have turned itself 180 degrees upside down, causing it to actually end up rotating the right trajectory. However, because it's upside down, now it appears to us that it's rotating opposite, but it's still doing its job as a planet. But now that it was flipped on its axis in reverse, that is why to us it appears so, but it's not quite known, of course, but a fascinating subject to study nonetheless. The only other planet to do this is Uranus. So Uranus, you can check out my facts about Uranus video, and Venus are the only ones to have a backwards rotation, okay? Fact number 6. So, this is a very cool one. I thought I'd write this down because it is actually the most unique of other planets. Due to its 243 Earth day per rotation. Day is the longest day in the solar system of all the planets. So 243 of our days is equal to one Venusian day. It's so slow, it spins 4 miles an hour. Alright, honey, I can walk faster than that, okay? Venus, what you do, you too slow, okay? And that makes it one day longer than one whole year. Like its year, the time it takes to go around the sun is longer than the day. Girl, no wonder you ain't fallen in love yet. I mean, you're too slow. In the dating world, you gotta pick up the speed a little, honey. I mean, no wonder you still single. You ain't got no rings or nothing. Alright, you know I gotta add a little bit of my flair and sass on here. Venus appears white in space due to its thick clouds and reflection of the sun. So she's just putting on a wall because she's so hurt and broken inside. So she's putting a barrier of all them thick, dense clouds. Once you break the barrier, you get to really see who she is inside. Oh wait, it's hell on Venus. I was gonna say hell on Earth, but it ain't Earth. It's hell on Venus, and so I guess she's not really washed that it wasn't able to capture images and such. But another craft actually managed to break the barrier, land on the surface, and acquire an image. I believe just 1 or 2 images. Barely made it, barely just sent the signal out and died. The longest a craft has actually lasted on its surface is 2 hours because of its intense, incredible pressure. Like imagine your oven on a max temperature. Multiply that by 2. And 90 times pressure than Earth. Like we already experience a lot of pressure. We already having to lift objects and everything is so dense and heavy here, and we get eye bags and we get so tired and droopy, like 90 times that. And 900 degrees. Like the hottest Floridian day. Times 10. Plus it's raining acid. Good luck. Alright. That's why. So we couldn't actually land there with a craft. Even if we did, even if we built like the most sturdiest, strongest spaceship, even aliens are jealous of us. And we went outside, we'd be like we'd be gone. Like not even a second, you'd be like crushed, burned. Like you would actually, I think someone said you would actually like turn into vapor. Like ash and vapor. Like even your bones would like disintegrate. Okay, TMI. Alright, so let's begin. Let's keep going. Venus once contained life, they say, but it crumbled due to its proximity to the sun. So they say at one point the solar activity or energy it was emitting from the sun was not as strong hundreds of millions of years ago as it exponentially grew to this day. So that was a huge reason. I don't think we realize how fortunate we are. Like we were in the perfect habitable zone. I mean, if we were just, what was that statistic they said? Like that didn't make any sense. Actually, to me, it didn't make sense when someone said if we were 6 feet closer to the sun, we would like burn up. Like, okay, so I'm gonna climb a ladder and I'm gonna burn up. Like, but I think that makes sense. Like, if the position of the planet was any closer, it would not be habit. I don't know how they got it. Maybe that was a lie, a flat out lie, because that don't make no darn sense. But anyway, so how is 6 feet gonna make a difference from 90 million miles? Anyway. The surface is up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit, or it's like 450 Celsius, something like that. It's pretty close. Yeah. At its hottest temperature. The clouds are actually 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so yeah, like a nice tropical Floridian day. They say it can support life, but due to the sulfuric acid, it's highly unlikely. But if you were to float 40 miles above the surface, it could be a potentially harbor of life. It's called Earth's evil twin sister because it is equivalent to its mass and size. Well, that's not very nice. Who cares? Who's the bigger planet? Like, grow up, Venus. Like, stop making fun of Earth, okay? Earth may have a little bit extra booty, but you know what? Stop making fun of her. At least you don't have humans. Alright, so. But evil because it's very exactly the same when you get back to the surface. But the pressure around you is incredibly stronger the lower in depth you get, so Venus's pressure happens to be more tumultuous. Now, in terms of weight, how much you would actually weigh on the planet would be 0.88 times Earth, so you'd weigh slightly less than on Earth. So if you're like 100 pounds, you'd actually be 88 pounds on Venusian landscape, okay? I know it's difficult to conceive. High velocity winds carry its clouds around in full rotation around the planet once every 4 Earth days. So the wind speeds are so incredibly fast that the clouds take only but 4 days to go around the planet. Okay. So yeah, imagine like all that pressure, all that heat, all that acid rain. On top of that, the winds are wild, right? You would basically, like, there's such a thing as wind burn. Like, if the wind didn't burn you, the temperature would. If that didn't, the rain would. If that didn't, then the incredible pressure exertion would. Because pressure alone would create that heat, I believe. And if that didn't, then the sun would. I mean, it's just like a perfect storm of never. If that didn't, the volcano would. I mean, I could go on and on. Be suffocated by all that ash. It has no magnetic field or light